Newly filed court documents in the case of DeCarlos Brown Jr.'s federal case show a psychiatrist has determined he is not competent to stand trial. Brown, of course, faces both federal and state charges in the tragic stabbing death of Iryna Zarutska on Charlotte's light rail last August. That competency finding will now be presented to a judge.
Natisha Lance read through the documents and spoke to a local attorney about when Brown could go to trial.
It's another delay in a case that has gained national and international news. Newly filed court documents show the man accused of killing Ukrainian refugee Iryna Zarutska has been found not competent to stand trial in his federal case. DeCarlos Brown Jr. faces both state and federal charges. That competency determination was made on April 14th after what documents describe as an exhaustive evaluation. A psychologist at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago looked at material from local, state, and federal agencies and reviewed audio and video recordings of Brown as part of their evaluation. Federal public defenders for Brown have asked for a competency hearing, and the U.S. District Attorney's Office supports that. At that hearing, a judge will make their own determination. If the judge finds Brown is not mentally ready for trial right now, it does not mean the case is over. But Charlotte attorney Mark Jaton says it can be a process that takes time.
The work is done on the back end where this individual is going to get treatment. They can have cognitive behavior therapy. They can also have counseling. They can have medical treatment with medications to try to get that individual to become competent. And then they can go back through this process again.
Last month, Brown was deemed incapable of proceeding in the state case against him as well. The federal case would have to move forward first. In a statement through their attorney, the family of Iryna Zarutska says this is just part of the process and making sure the letter of the law is followed to the T. We have full confidence in the U.S. Attorney's Office and their proceedings to restore his competency through medication. Documents say Brown could receive treatment, including forced medication, for up to 4 months before another evaluation is done.
The goal is to rehabilitate them, to get them to the level of competency that everyone in the courtroom, particularly the judge who's overseeing it, is satisfied that this person can understand what's going on.
Natisha Lance, WBTV, on your side.